Social hierarchies and PDA. So you may have read around the characteristics of PDA that PDAers, in particular children, don't recognise social hierarchies. I hear this all the time. I see it in conversations all the time. I guess I really want to share my experience with that as a PDAer. I recognise social hierarchies. I'm able to identify them very, very quickly. And the clue is in the first word, social. Social hierarchies. They're made up, they're not real, and so my PDA wiring does identify them and does recognise them as power imbalances. Now, I recognise that this is something that, society is riddled with. Hierarchies. But it's not about not recognizing them for me. It's about the fact that in order to respect people, my respect for a person is based on the type of person they are, how they treat themselves, how they treat others. It's never about what they do for a living, how old they are, what medals they carry, what awards they have, whether they have high distinctions in an academic pursuit or degree. None of that matters to me as a PDAer. It always comes down to what kind of person they are, to the point where I would rather support a business that is run by good, decent human beings and it cost me double the price for a product than support a business that treats their employees and others terribly and is half the price. As a PDAer, my wiring is focused on the kind of person someone is. So yes, I absolutely recognize social hierarchies. Do I respect them? Yes, I respect other people enough to accept that that is a way that they live and that is a system that may or may not work for them. It's not a system that works for me. Hierarchy does not work for me because I cannot be in relationship with power imbalances. I can't work for other people, which is why I work for myself. As an employer, we don't have hierarchies. We work together. My employees are provided with a certain amount of hours and they use them flexibly in ways that works for them. They can start whenever works for them. They can rest during the day. This is what's important to me as a PDA and in employment as another example. I think people read it as almost like a rebellion, like we just want to be rid of anything that we don't align with. That's not the case for me, because part of my PDA nature is that I do respect other people and I'm fascinated and curious about, what works and doesn't work for others. So my way isn't the only way. I just live a certain way because of my neurobiology and I've worked very hard to figure out what works for me. So again, it's not about not recognizing social hierarchies. It's about not feeling aligned with them because I think everybody deserves a fair go. If we take this and take it into a classroom as an example, where a child may not bow down to an educator or do everything that they ask, that's not about not recognizing hierarchy. It's about there being a presence of power imbalance. Even that, though, is okay. It's okay for us as PDAs to know that someone's job, someone's position is to be in a position of leadership, but it's about how they do it. If there is an educator who provides autonomy, who really hears their students, who is flexible and understanding, who is curious about their students, who shares of themselves selflessly and generously, that is what a PDA would respond to really, really positive as a great leader. And that would be a hierarchy that would be really well received by a PDAer. It's not as simple as not respecting or recognizing hierarchy. I think if we can reframe it, that instead of PDAers not recognizing social hierarchies, it's about PDAers and many non-PDAers too not appreciating power imbalance. not feeling safe. Again, the teacher who wants to exercise control more than collaborating and really hearing and working flexibly with students. It's about the employer that wants to exercise control, or perhaps puts themselves on a pedestal and thinks that they have more experience, therefore they're entitled to more than their employees. So I don't think anybody appreciates that, in all honesty. But yes, I just hear this all the time, that we don't recognize social hierarchy because we respond to people in a way that is balanced. And what that looks like might be a 5-year-old telling, a 65-year-old that they've been rude to them. I don't like it when you talk like that, Grandma. That's really rude. For past generations, and even now, of course, that has been considered to be insubordinate or disrespectful. However, the PDA brain doesn't quite work like that. And there will be so many times, there have been so many times in my life, even now, where I will respond to somebody or say something in conversation and other people might gasp a bit and go, oh, you can't say that to them. They're the principal, but I see the human, the person, the human. And I think when you are a PDAer and you are accustomed to not only being in unsafe connections with people who want to control anyway, when you're a PDAer, those same people that want to control will double down on PDAers, especially children. They will double down, knuckles in, hardcore. We know this. We see it all the time. It can be extended family, it can be friends, relatives, it can be educators, therapists. If we already have this approach to life with a need for control, and we come into contact with children who will not give up their power or who are unapologetic about who they are, those personalities that seek control go in hardcore. They really double down on our children. It isn't about us not recognizing social hierarchies. It is about needing safety in connection where there are not made up power imbalances. That's what we're talking about here. How do I have this conversation with my child's teacher? My son is in year 5 and he often feels connected to his teacher. However, he's also wary that she can sometimes dysregulate when under stress and yell. I believe she would be neurodivergent. Recently, this teacher yelled at my son, at a time when his brain was already flooded, and he cried and felt hurt and stayed away from school for 10 days because he felt betrayed. Oh, I feel that. I value this teacher so much. Her genuine care, love, her sharing of understanding and feelings. And I've tried to discuss, however, she says she did not yell, just spoke firmly. My son has asked that I help her understand his hurt. However, I'm worried she will respond from a defensive position. Any suggestions? Yeah, I think if she is really open and as lovely as you believe she is and have experience by the sounds of it, the defensiveness doesn't sound like it might be an issue. A few things come to mind reading that. First of all, it's really, really common for PDA children we're really hypervigilant around any change in facial expression, tone of voice, body language. It's like we feel the shift and we no longer feel safe. To have the teacher yell, she may have only spoken firmly, but for us, for your son, it was yelling. It would have been received and heard as yelling, and I absolutely understand the hurt and the betrayal. I still experience this as an adult when I feel connected to somebody and I feel safe with somebody, and then unexpectedly they show me a side of themselves I haven't seen and it's directed at me in aggression. I struggle to come back, to return to that connection, even though I understand that people are human. So I think this is a really great question because it also highlights the importance of us having ongoing dialogue with our children about how human we all are and how other people, including us, we do become dysregulated. It doesn't matter what position we're in or how old we are or how much experience we have. We do struggle with stress and our tone changes and our face changes, but raising our voice at others is not okay, and there are some behaviors that we can apologize for, or we can come back from those things if we have conversations about. And the most beautiful thing about this question is that he is determined to make this okay with her. He is looking for reason from her, so that chance is there on offer to her. There is a real opportunity there for her to re-engage with him and have an open conversation with him about her own struggles and be transparent. That's what we look for as PDA kids and adults. Sometimes I find if we're unable to have a discussion that we can send an email, we can write a letter, really highlighting how much we value that person, what you've just said here, how much you value her, and how much he connects with her and feels safe with her, and that we're wondering about the possibility of there being just a small chat, a small and intimate chat around how we all experience stress and how sometimes we react rather than respond, and that we'll, try and manage things differently moving forward. That is probably all he needs, is for her to own what's happened. Lovely to see everybody. Lovely to be here. I hope you all have an absolutely brilliant day. I will see you again next week. Ta-ta now.